Welcome to R2-3D, my name is Al, and in this week's video things are getting personal because we're diving into a game that I actually helped create. Get this, the game came out 22 years ago and it's all the more impressive seeing as though I'm only 27. The star of this week's video is the main man himself, CJ, and he's modelled by the marvellous folk at Zenith Studios. And yeah, as you can probably tell from all the signs, I actually quite like my time working on GTA. But before we dive into things, we need to rewind back a few weeks to when a mysterious package arrived from a faraway land.
Excellent. Hey.
And I just want to give a huge shout out to the team at UniFormation for sending over a GK3 Ultra for me to test on some upcoming projects. I really appreciate the support. This is going to be a massive game changer for the channel. Thank you so much. That massive build plate means that I can print much larger components, and teaming it up with my GK3T means I can run dual prints and fast track my entire project. Plus, the built-in heater has been an absolute lifesaver recently. The weather's been freezing and it's keeping my chilly print room the perfect temperature for reliable printing. I opted for light supports across all the model parts, and for the most part it paid off flawlessly. However, with the torso with that highly detailed ribbed vest, it threw a bit of a curveball and it required me to completely rethink the support placement to get that one right. Here you can see I'm applying the black primer and then the white primer as a Zenithal highlight. And it was only when I was doing the white Zenithal for the top that I noticed that there was marks of all the supports. Even though they were light supports, they were still marking the ribbed top, and I wasn't going to be able to fix this. I would have to support his torso by the underside of his waist. So I went back to the slicer and changed my approach. I found that if I only supported him on the underside of his waist, I could avoid the rib vest altogether, completely eliminating the issue with support artifacts. Next I loaded up some Citadel's Air Dawnstone, which is a sort of medium grey, for the main body of the top, keeping it sort of off-white and keeping the pure white for the final highlights. Next up was my absolute favourite chrome paint, Molotow's Liquid Chrome. I gave all the shiny parts of the bike a thorough coat and the results were just fantastic. It looks like real metal. You really have to be meticulous with your preparation for the chrome parts though. Any support marks will show up with this stuff, so you have to get it really smooth. Now, if you've ever watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I like to add little personal touches to these models. This time I whipped up a San Andreas logo in 3D and I printed it out. To make the text pop, I edge painted the script with Vallejo white over a base of Kaleido primer black. Painting over chrome is always a challenge due to the slick surface. To create the white wall tyres, it required a couple of coats of Army Painter's Brain Matter Beige to achieve the solid coverage and the look I was aiming for. For the rubber itself, I went with Vallejo's Tyre Black. The process is pretty straightforward, but the key is to take your time where the black meets the white walls. I found that by bracing both hands firmly on the table, it was the best way to keep the brush completely steady for that crisp border. Here's another little spot where I went off script from the Zenith Studios artwork. Their bike is painted red and black, but I wanted to throw it back a bit and replicate the classic bike from the original concept we had for the game and make it gold and silver. And for this I used Decacolor Gold through an airbrush. You have to use white spirit to clean that out, as it doesn't clean out with water or alcohol, and you also have to leave it for about 2 days afterwards, otherwise you're going to get fingerprints. I then used Proacco's Bronze for the chain and Kaleido Black Primer for the logo on the front of the frame, which stands out really nicely against the gold. And I used the same black primer for the grips on the handlebars and also for the forward pegs on the front forks. For the sole of his shoes, stripes and the shoelaces, I painted them all with Brain Matter Beige over a couple of applications to get the full effect. And I took my time with the stripes to get the full zigzag effect on the edge of the stripes. and I mixed up a 50-50 of Army Paints Ash Grey and Agate Skin to paint the soles of his sneakers and to get that nice dark pink colour. And I also came back in and gave the pedals a nice highlight with Molotow's liquid chrome. It's a small detail, but it really catches the light and enhances the overall definition of that part of the bike. Moving on to the jeans now, and I used Let's Resin Ultramarine Blue for the base colour. I purposely sprayed it from a low angle to catch all the deep folds and undershading, creating a natural shadow right from the start. And to push the contrast even further on his jeans, I deepened the core shadows with a targeted application of phthalo blue in selected spots, before coming back with cerulean blue from a high angle to catch the raised highlights. And at this stage I wasn't quite happy with the tone of the shadows. They were looking a bit too vibrant and purple for my liking, so to fix it I gave them a pass with Citadel's Drakenhof Nightshade, which perfectly desaturated the tones and knocked those deep shadows down a bit. And to create some texture in the jeans, I lightly dry brushed Vallejo's Sky Blue over the high points. Keeping the brush incredibly dry allowed me to catch the subtle texture of the print, perfectly mimicking the fabric of the material weave and then bringing out all the detail. Next up with the belt, I went with a nice mid-brown called Tree Ancient from Army Painters for the base coat. To give it a nice bit of history, I dry brushed some edge wear onto it using Mocha Skin, also from Army Painter. It's a great lighter brown that does a fantastic job of mimicking leather damage. And I gave all the stitch marking on his jeans dry brushing with Army Paint's Agate Skin, just to give it a nice contrast from the blue. I opted out of using magnets this time and instead broke out the 5-minute epoxy to permanently lock the main components together, before adding the final touches to his jeans using Decacolor Gold to make the rivets pop. And I finished off his jeans with tungsten steel for the buckle on his belt. Onto the base next, using Army Painter's Brain Matter Beige for the curb markings and graffiti outlines. Laying down this base coat is a must if you want vibrant greens to actually pop over a dark grey surface. I then applied a dry brush of Army Painter's Ash Grey over the cobblestones to give them a bit more detail and a bit of edge wear. To break up the flat, monotonous look of the asphalt, I loaded up my airbrush and sprayed random patches around the ground with Citadel's Agrax Earthshade and Griffcharger Grey. This adds a subtle tonal variation that you see on real roads, instantly making the street look weathered and alive. For the graffiti, I mixed Vallejo's Fluorescent Green with Splinter Green, as the Fluorescent Green is a bit thin and doesn't cover very well on its own, but by adding the Splinter Green in it, it gives it more opacity I needed, so I'm not spending half the day painting one section. I also used this mix on the empty spray can. I had to apply quite a heavy coat to the spray can as the chrome paint doesn't really cover very well, and so it takes a lot of paint to go over it. For the yellow road markings, I used a mix of Vallejo's Orange Fire and Citadel's Air Phalanx Yellow. The orange gives the blend a nice custardy yellow shade, whilst also boosting the coverage power of the yellow paint. For the white road markings, I used my old trusty Army Paints Brain Matter Beige, as I didn't want it to look too bright and as if it was just been put down. This is old road markings after all. I then dry brushed the cobblestones again with Brain Matter Beige this time, just to give them a nice pop, and then glued the spray can down to the base with the 5-minute epoxy. I then gave the brake adjuster a nice dab of Pro Acryl Transparent Red just to make it stand out a bit, and I then added the brake cable with a piece of fine plastic filament, super glued at both ends. I started off painting CJ's skin tones with my usual recipe by spraying Warlord Purple by Vallejo from a high angle to simulate the main light, and then applying Pro Acryl's Transparent Red from a low angle to emphasise the warmth in the shadowy areas. And to establish CJ's primary skin tone, I used Army Painter's Tree Ancient, which serves as an excellent rich base for the rest of the layering. To lock in those shadows, I brought in Vallejo's Hull Red from a low angle. This stuff is a gorgeous dark reddish brown and it does an amazing job of adding a rich variance to his skin tone. There's a lot more to rich dark skin tones than just basic brown shades. Next, I applied a lovely orange brown by Vallejo to act as a mid-tone highlight, followed by German orange to bring a vibrant, almost light orangey pink hue to the highest points. Next, I wanted to pump up the vibrancy a bit, so I went over it with a pretty heavily thinned layer of Warpaint's orange tone. To make sure I didn't lose my shadows, I sprayed Pro Acryl's brown wash right into the crevices and the deeper recesses to bring out that punchy contrast again. And as with any skin tone, I judged it by eye to see where it needed attention next. I decided to push the highlights a bit further using Army Painter's agate skin, which really helped emphasise his muscle definition and facial features. Then I knocked back specific areas with Citadel's Agrax Earthshade to reinforce the deep shadows. And finally I punched out the definition a bit more by mixing German orange from Vallejo with Citadel's Agrax Earthshade. This allowed me to target the specific spots that really needed it to get those darker shadowy areas with a bit of extra warmth. Moving back to the double magazine weapon in his hand, I applied a base coat of Kaleido black primer, and once that was dry I dry brushed the entire piece with Kaleido's gunmetal to pick out the metallic details. And to finish up on the weapon, I used Vallejo's steel to pick out the gaffer tape, securing the double magazines together. Moving on to CJ's hair now, and I reused the Kaleido black primer due to its excellent coverage and its unique semi-matte satin finish that it has. I thinned it slightly with water to extend its drying time and to ensure it completely penetrated into the deep recesses of the hair sculpt. Then I used that exact same black mix to carefully dab on his eyebrows and fill in his eye area. This gives me a solid dark base so that when I go in to paint the sclera, the eyes will really pop. Next it was time to tackle his pencil moustache and chin stubble, again using that black primer. For the stubble area I kept the brush fairly dry and carefully stippled it with a super pointy detail brush to get a nice realistic look. You just have to be quite careful when you're doing this bit and not have too much paint on the end of the paintbrush. An almost dry brush and just dab it, just to get the correct effect. Next I blocked out the sclera using Army Painter's Brain Matter Beige. For the lips I mixed Let's Resin's Rose Red and Vallejo Armour Brown, gradually increasing the darker tones until the transitions and shading look perfect. Moving on to the eyes, I mapped out the pupils using Vallejo's Armour Brown, slowly expanding the shape until the scale and positioning looked correct. I applied a dab of Vallejo black for the irises, followed by a tiny catchlight of pure Vallejo white to give the eyes a realistic sparkle. And to finish them off, I added a little bit of depth to the corners of the eyes with Citadel's Gilliman Flesh. So the quick mix of German orange and tree ancient for his fingernails, I'm calling him officially done. A huge thanks to UniFormation for providing the printer for this build. The performance was absolutely fantastic and it's got me planning some massive prints for the future for the channel. A major shout out to all of you tuning into the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a comment down below and hit that like and subscribe button. And most importantly, please make sure to watch until the very end because I have a personal message from my best bud. I'm really going to miss you, buddy. So until next time, this has been R2-3D and I'll see you in the next one.